Confidence is not what most people think it is. It is not the loudest voice in the room. It is not the person with the biggest personality, or the most impressive resume, or the most followers online. Real confidence, the kind that makes people stop and pay attention, the kind that makes rooms shift when someone walks in, is almost entirely communicated through behavior. Through tiny, precise, subtle signals that the human brain reads automatically and instantly before a single word is ever exchanged. And here is the thing that changes everything once you truly understand it. You do not need to feel confident to project confidence. Neuroscience has proven that the relationship between internal state and external behavior runs in both directions. You already know that feeling confident changes how you behave. But research has now confirmed the reverse is equally true. Changing how you behave changes how you feel. And more importantly, it changes how every single person around you perceives and responds to you in real time. Today, you're going to learn 8 subtle behaviors that the most naturally confident people in the world exhibit without even thinking about it. These are not power poses from a TED Talk. These are deeply grounded behavioral signals rooted in social psychology, evolutionary biology, and neuroscience that trigger an automatic respect and credibility response in the human brain. Master these 8 behaviors, and you will never have to announce your confidence again, because every room you walk into will already feel it. Before we dive in, you need to understand one thing about how the brain processes confidence signals. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss at the University of Texas, whose research on human social behavior spans decades, found that humans have been reading status and confidence cues in other humans for hundreds of thousands of years. Your brain is an extraordinarily sensitive instrument for detecting these signals, because in the ancestral environment, correctly identifying who was high status and who was low status was a matter of survival. Aligning with the wrong person could get you killed. So your brain developed a rapid-fire unconscious system for reading dozens of behavioral microsignals simultaneously and forming an instant assessment. This system is still running in every person you meet today. It is reading you right now in every interaction you have. The question is, what is it finding? Let us make sure it finds exactly what you want it to find. Behavior 1. You enter spaces slowly and deliberately. Most people, when they walk into a room they do not know well, or a situation that feels high stakes, immediately betray their anxiety through speed. They walk faster. They look around quickly, scanning for threats, scanning for approval, scanning for somewhere safe to land. This rapid scanning and accelerated movement is one of the oldest and most universally recognized signals of low social status in the animal kingdom, and the human brain reads it the same way. High-status individuals across every human culture and every primate species share a common physical characteristic. They move slowly, not lethargically, not lazily, but with the deliberate, unhurried pace of someone who is not afraid of the space they are entering. Slow movement communicates that you belong here, that this environment does not intimidate you, that you have nowhere to rush to because you are exactly where you are supposed to be. The next time you walk into any room, any office, any social gathering, consciously slow your pace by about 30%. Let your eyes move slowly and deliberately rather than darting. Take up the entrance for 1 full second before moving further in. That single behavioral adjustment changes the first impression your presence makes on every person in that room before you have spoken a single word. Behavior 2. You stop explaining yourself when no explanation was requested. This one is so subtle that most people never identify it as a confidence signal, but the brain reads it loudly and clearly. When someone shares a decision, a preference, or a position, and then immediately launches into a lengthy, unsolicited explanation of why they made that choice, the social brain of every listener registers one thing: this person is not sure they have the right to make this choice without my approval. Confident people make choices and let them stand. They answer questions when asked. They do not pre-defend themselves against criticism that has not arrived. Notice this in your own communication over the next 24 hours. How often do you add because after a statement that did not require a reason? How often do you over-explain a preference, a decision, or an opinion before anyone has questioned it? Start practicing the discipline of the period. Say the thing. Put a period on it. Stop. The restraint you exercise in not over-explaining will communicate more authority and self-assurance than any explanation you could offer. Behavior 3. You are genuinely comfortable with being disagreed with. This is where most people fail the confidence test without realizing it. Watch what happens to the average person when someone challenges their opinion in a group setting. Their voice changes, their posture shifts. They immediately begin modifying their position or over-justifying it or deflecting with humor to relieve the social tension. All of these responses betray the same underlying insecurity. My sense of self is threatened when someone disagrees with me. Truly confident people have what psychologists call a secure sense of self, which means their internal stability does not depend on external agreement. When someone disagrees with them, they do not collapse and they do not attack. They listen, genuinely consider the perspective, and either update their view based on merit or respectfully maintain their original position. Research on leadership presence from studies at the Center for Creative Leadership found that the ability to remain calm, grounded, and non-defensive under social pressure is one of the single strongest predictors of perceived leadership ability and personal authority. Practice staying physically still and vocally calm the next time someone challenges you. Do not rush to respond. Do not apologize for your view. Simply engage with the content of their disagreement from a place of security. That stillness under social pressure is one of the most powerful confidence signals a human being can project. Behavior 4. You use people's names deliberately and sparingly. Dale Carnegie identified this principle nearly a century ago, and modern neuroscience has confirmed the mechanism behind it. When you hear your own name, your brain activates in a distinct and powerful way. Research using neuroimaging found that hearing one's own name produces unique activation in the brain's self-referential processing areas that other words simply do not trigger. Using someone's name in conversation signals attentiveness, presence, and confidence because it requires you to be genuinely engaged rather than mentally elsewhere. But the word sparingly is critical here. Confident people use names at specific high-impact moments, at the opening of a conversation to establish connection, at the moment of making an important point to anchor their attention, at the close of an interaction to make the farewell memorable. Overusing someone's name sounds performative and sales-like, and undermines the natural authority the behavior is meant to project. Used precisely, and with genuine eye contact, the deliberate use of a name creates an impression of someone who is fully present, fully engaged, and fully in command of their social environment. Behavior 5. You speak in complete sentences and you finish your thoughts. This sounds almost embarrassingly simple, but observe conversations around you and you will notice how rarely people actually do it. Most people trail off at the end of sentences. They leave thoughts half finished. They pivot midpoint because they lose confidence in where their thought is going. They end declarative statements with rising intonation that turns them into questions. Each of these patterns signals the same thing to the listening brain. I am not fully committed to what I am saying. Confident communication is characterized by completion. You start a sentence and you finish it. Your voice stays level or drops slightly at the end of a statement rather than rising. You do not abandon a thought because you became self-conscious halfway through. Research on vocal patterns and perceived competence shows that people who speak in complete thoughts with a downward inflection at the end of statements are consistently rated as more competent, more credible, and more authoritative than people who speak in fragments or with upward inflection regardless of the actual content of what they say. Your voice is an instrument. Learn to close your sentences the way a confident person closes a deal, with finality and without apology. Behavior 6. You are not visibly affected by other people's moods and energy. This is one of the most powerful subtle confidence signals there is, and almost no one talks about it. Most people are what psychologists call emotional mirrors. They unconsciously absorb and reflect the emotional energy of whoever they are with. Someone comes to them anxious, and they become anxious. Someone is cold and distant and they become visibly unsettled trying to figure out what they did wrong. Someone is in a bad mood and it immediately pulls their own mood down. This emotional reactivity is deeply human and completely understandable, but it is one of the loudest signals of low confidence and low social status that a person can project. High confidence individuals have what is called emotional sovereignty. They bring their own emotional weather into a room rather than simply reflecting whatever weather they find there. They can engage with someone who is anxious without becoming anxious. They can interact with someone cold without becoming visibly wounded. They can sit in a room full of tension without their own demeanor destabilizing. Research on emotional contagion from the work of Elaine Hatfield at the University of Hawaii found that emotional states spread from person to person like a contagion. but that individuals with high self-regulation and secure attachment styles are significantly more resistant to emotional contagion and are simultaneously more likely to positively influence the emotional states of those around them. Be the source of the emotional signal, not the receiver of it. That shift alone will change how every person in your environment experiences your presence. Behavior 7. You make requests instead of hints. This is a behavior pattern that undermines perceived confidence more subtly and more consistently than almost anything else. Most people, when they want something, do not ask for it directly. They hint at it. They suggest it indirectly. They frame it in ways designed to minimize the possibility of rejection. I do not know, maybe we could possibly think about getting together sometime if you are ever free, and it is not too much trouble. This kind of communication is designed to protect the speaker from the pain of a direct no, but what it actually does is signal to the social brain of the listener that this person does not believe they deserve what they are asking for. Confident people make direct requests. They say, "I would like your feedback on this by Thursday." They say, "I want to take you to dinner on Saturday." They say, "I need 15 minutes of your time this week." Direct requests are not aggressive or demanding. They are simply honest, and honesty about what you want without the performance of false indifference communicates a level of self-assurance and self-respect that the human brain finds both refreshing and deeply credible. Ask for what you want, directly, clearly, without the cushioning of 12 layers of social hedging designed to protect you from a rejection that might never even come. Behavior 8. You are the last one to look away. This final behavior is subtle and ancient and extraordinarily powerful. In every social interaction, there is a moment when eye contact breaks. And research on social dominance and status consistently shows that the person who breaks eye contact first is unconsciously registered by the brain as holding the lower status position in that exchange. This does not mean you should engage in uncomfortable staring contests with everyone you meet. It means developing the habit of being comfortable enough in your own skin to hold eye contact a beat longer than feels instinctive. When you are speaking, hold eye contact through the end of your thought rather than breaking away mid-sentence as many people do. When someone else is speaking and you break eye contact, let it be because your attention moved intentionally rather than because you flinched away from the connection. The person who is comfortable being seen is the person who is perceived as having nothing to hide and nothing to fear. And in the social brain's rapid unconscious assessment, nothing signals confidence more cleanly than someone who can be fully present in the gaze of another human being without needing to escape it. Here is what ties all 8 of these together at the deepest level. Confidence is not a performance. The people who project it most powerfully are not trying to look confident. They have simply developed through practice and habit a set of behaviors that signal to every brain around them, "I am settled in who I am. I do not need your approval to feel okay, and I am fully present in this interaction." That combination of settledness, presence, and non-neediness is what the human brain has been wired to recognize as genuine authority for hundreds of thousands of years. You do not have to be born with it. You do not have to feel it before you can project it. You just have to start with the behaviors, one at a time, one interaction at a time, and let the feeling catch up to the signal you are already sending.